Hello, this is DeckardCain, joined by Pye Studios.
Hello?
Today we're going to show off what we've done in our Minecraft world. So to begin with, I'm going to show you the audio recording studio. In the studio you have 8 notes, which are conjoined over here. This is just testing to see what the notes are actually going to sound like. Along the top here there's going to be signs for each note. Currently all the notes are the same. I haven't really set this up to work properly. Essentially what it is though is our tumbler design hooked up to note blocks. The way that you operate this tumbler design is you're going to need some wool, and you're going to put the wool in the places where you want a note to play, and then you're going to press step. It's going to step through here. Maybe not so much. There we go. So it's going to step, and you're going to put the notes in, whatever ones you want next. You're going to hit step, and then carry on. Now, if you want this whole thing to play, you can hit the on switch and then the step to ignite, and away it goes. This one's obviously screwed up because I was testing around with this earlier, but this is essentially what it's supposed to do. Now, in order to stop, you flick off the on switch again to turn it off. And if you want to play, you hit the play, turn it on, the step switch to make it start, and now it should start playing. So the reason why you're probably not hearing any right now is because the sound is off, because the pistons are extremely annoying, and because the glass does not allow current to go through, only wool does. So you probably won't hear anything for quite some time. So I'm going to flick off the play switch, off the on switch, and that's that. Now I'm going to show you the circuitry. Oh, I forgot to show you another thing. I have lights in here. Zach set these up for me. It's quite nice. So now for the circuitry. This is all the controls here, which loop around to the main circuitry. Now, what I've done here is that that button goes to an AND switch. The 2 repeaters here make the current take longer to get to this circuit, this gate here, the AND gate, which allows for the electricity to pulse instead of having a long period. The reason why you want it to go really quickly because the infinite loop here is going to be going round and round, and if you have too much current, both sides will be on, and you only want one to be on. So with a pulse, it sends it really quickly, only allowing for one side to be on, which makes it go in a loop. The second gate here, the AND gate, is for whether or not there's a current in the loop and a current from the on switch, which allows the loop to keep going. So if you were to press step with the on switch off, a current will go through from this gate, making a loop go around, making the pistons turn, but will not continue as the on switch is not on. Now the pistons themselves, you have 2 up here, pushing it over and then down, and then this is actually not part of it. That's part of another design. Pushes it over, pushes it up, and that goes in a loop. So that's the tumbler design there. This other bit here, all this glass and these pistons here are for saving your work. That is a rather advanced feature that I'm still working on. Essentially what this means is once you write music, it's going to pump it out into a sheet and form a cube just like this. And you'll be able to store all of these bits in a cube rather than storing them digitally on the 8-bit memory module that I showed off last time. This not only saves in space, but it also saves in data integrity. Because these digital things are rather in an alpha stage, you're not really going to want to write a whole sheet of music and have it destroyed because I frigged up somewhere. So this here is an 8x12 sheet by, I think that's 12 as well. So you can imagine how many bits you can fit in just this cube alone. This cube here, though, is not actually any data. This is a refill. So the pistons that are going to be on this side are actually going to push this in, load it into this shooter, which is going to shoot it into here. So once the page is ejected, this will load up a new blank page of glass, allowing you to write more. Currently, you're going to have to manually fill this again once it's out, but hopefully I'm going to have a way where I can have a really long strip of it just to fill this up, or even I know there's plugins for dispensers to place blocks rather than shoot them out as an item such as that. So that's basically that there. This is also the prototype. This prototype here is essentially going to allow us to do the exact same thing. However, it's very, very limited in what it can do. The reason why I have two of these is because we're eventually going to have this set up. Essentially what this is going to do here is not only is it going to play music, but you're also going to be able to take a digital signal and turn it into analog. These here, this one row, is 34 8-bit modules times 8. So that is, the bottom row alone is 1 byte times 34. This block here will hold a lot more than any of these digital things will. So the idea is you'll record to digital, and it will switch it to analog for long-term saving. So in the event that you make a really, really long piece of music, we're not going to have enough storage to have multiple people writing really long pieces of music. So the computer will automatically detect, like, hey, this file is way too big, and you don't use it enough or edit it enough for me to keep it into my digital storage. So I'm going to pump it out to an analog format, and we'll keep it at that. So people who write things for the cinema, for example, you can have it so that instead of having it loaded into digital memory, you'll just pump it out to analog in these block forms, which will save you vast amounts of storage. Now the next thing I want to show off are these towers here. Last time I showed you one of these modules. Now I've multiplied it several times over. The same sort of format stays. This is still an 8-bit module, hooked up to a multiplexer, and it just shoots out the side here. This is the read function. So this is where you're going to read all the data from, and the other side here is actually the write function, right here. Now, there's going to be lines shooting down right along this, like that, and all of these are going to be hooked up to one line. And each of those lines are going to be hooked up to a module which is the memory controller, and that controller is hooked up to another controller which is over at ground zero, which is not built yet. Ground zero is essentially the CPU and the main admin control panel, where you'll be able to do anything with the computer at any level. I mean, you can write music, and you can even specify which module you'd like to reset. This isn't supposed to be like that. This here is the prototype for the data lines hooking up all of these memory modules. It's basically done aside from this. This line is not done because this actually has to go through all of these blocks, and I'm not too sure how I'm going to do that yet. But essentially what is going to happen here is just like this. This line is going to go right on down the line, and each of these are going to hook into it just like this. So once this is done, I'll be copying it over several times. After I'm done this, I'm going to write the write function, and then the memory module controller, and then I'm going to make ground zero. So that's basically all I've done in the past 2, maybe 3 days. And I'm going to pass it off to Zach here.
Hello, I'm Zach Pye, and I'll be showing you what I have done here. Now, Jared has requested a single-person cinema. It is way different than the original cinema, of course. And we'll step on inside here. Just some basic rooms. Haven't furnished them yet. But here is the single-person cinema. And it is in perfect viewing angle of the screen. I'll turn the lights off and show you guys what it looks like when it's dark. A little bit of mouse lag there. And here's with it off. Really dark in here. But anyways, that's the single person one. Now I've done some slight modifications to the original cinema here. As you can tell just by externally, it has got some more feed buses for the control panel for the admin. We've got some maintenance doors now. Still got the big old CRT out the back. Now we'll take a look on the inside now. Everything is the same except for a few lights. In the cinema, I've made it so that the cinema is much brighter when the lights are on. Light bars on. And then the cinema lights. And as you can see, I've cleaned up the switches a lot more. Now it is much, much brighter in here.
What light setting is that on?
It is set on bright, but I'll bring her down to moody. So that when you're actually in the cinema and change the settings, it still is nice and bright for you guys. But other than that, there has not really been too many modifications. But thanks for watching. I'm Zach Pye.
I'm DeckardCain.
Hope you like our videos to come.